Joining us now, one of the most prominent Democrats in Georgia, former gubernatorial candidate and voting rights activist, Stacey Abrams. Leader Abrams, thanks so much for joining us. In the last hour, the Georgia Secretary of State told me that his office is seeing good turnout in some parts of Georgia, lighter turnout in others. What are you hearing? What have you seen? And what might it mean for the Democrats' chances today?
Well, we went into this election with a pretty strong, healthy margin, but, steady turnout across the state has signaled that people are interested. We haven't seen the deluge, but it's just now we're just into the rush hour time when we have more voters who are going to be coming to vote after work. So I don't think we can prognosticate what's happening, but we do see a very steady flow of voters on both sides of the aisle, which I think means it's going to be a tight race.
You obviously are very dedicated to the idea of voter access, fighting voter suppression. Have you seen anything today raising your concerns?
No, I mean, we had a few challenges where voters were told that they'd already voted because of absentee ballots. Luckily, we've been very diligent about ensuring that people know their rights. They've been calling into the hotlines, getting information. We've let folks know that if they go to the wrong precinct because of the nature of the races, they should ask for a provisional ballot. And so a lot of it is, we think people understand the importance of the race, but they also understand they've got support to make certain their votes count. And Fair Fight has been working very closely with a number of organizations across the state to ensure that every voter understands their power.
So as of right now, you feel confident that this is a fair and legitimate election based on what you've seen as of right now?
I do. I think we continue to make progress. Now, let's be clear. We have not fully eliminated voter suppression in Georgia or across the country, but we have made dramatic strides from even June and certainly from 2018. The fact that absentee ballots can be cured, the fact that people know that they have the right to provisional ballots, but they're not getting them as a perfunctory exchange when there's a challenge. The fact that voters have a belief that they have the right to be heard across the state, especially in our smaller enclaves outside of Metro Atlanta. All of these are really good signals, but we have more work to do, and especially paying attention to the chatter coming from the Republicans of their intent to start to restrict the rights of voters because they're concerned that so many people are engaged and so many people are turning out. And hopefully Democrats and Republicans can come together and say that voter access in Georgia is a good thing, that high turnout is a good thing, and we will not put new barriers in place or take away opportunities to hear from every single eligible citizen.
It's Dana Bash in Washington. Thank you so much for doing this. I want to ask about what we saw in November, which is obviously President Trump lost, but Democrats also lost seats in the House, didn't pick up the seats that they thought that they would in November in the United States Senate. What are you looking for tonight to see if Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock will buck that trend?
Well, I think it's important to look state by state. And we know that for many Democrats and for many campaigns across the country, Democrats prioritize people's lives over politics, and they took very dramatic steps to curtail the likelihood of increasing the surge in COVID. This time, because we had good information and we knew what we could do, we saw many more boots on the ground. We saw incredible investment. Fair Fight was able to distribute more than $25 million to smaller organizations to help them with their work, and we've been doing this work. It's a multi-generational, multi-ethnic, multi-county effort where we are everywhere doing everything, and I think that's the signal we need to watch. In 2008, the high water mark for Senate runoffs were hit. That was 2.1 million voters. We passed that last week. We have had more than 3 million early votes already cast. We've already set records, and those records, I think, portend well for voters who want to see change and want to see Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock join the U.S. Senate.
And we heard President Trump, in his own words, in that recorded call, pressuring the Secretary of State there to find him votes, to hand him the state where you are. How is that playing with Georgia voters? Are you hearing from people that maybe weren't considering voting before? Is it swaying anybody?
I think it's a curiosity, but it's more of the same. We have a failed president who has flouted the law his entire tenure. It's not surprising to anyone that he would do so again. However, we caution everyone who decides that this makes Brad Raffensperger a hero that we need to remember this is the same man who inherited and dealt with and participated in voter suppression when he became the Secretary of State. He is defending the election he was responsible for. He is not defending the rights of voters, and I think it's very important that we not conflate the two. It is a good thing for all voters that we are protecting this election, but it is a dangerous thing for us to ignore the person who's doing it and to presume that he is on the side of voters because he is not.
Leader Abrams, this is Abby Phillip. If Democrats want to have a majority in the Senate, they have to have a clean sweep tonight in Georgia. If that doesn't happen, what are the stakes here? What does it mean for President-elect Biden's agenda if Republicans are able to maintain control of the Senate?
I'm less concerned about the agenda and more concerned about the people. We live in a state that is a fourth the size of California, and yet we have 670,000 infections from COVID. We have more than 10,000 deaths, close to 11,000 who have died of this disease. We have 400,000 Georgians out of a job. We have 3.9 million Georgians who've either lost their jobs or had their hours reduced. We have 161,000 facing evictions if we do not restore and renew the eviction protection that was embedded in the last COVID relief package. Rather than debating what it means for an agenda, we need to talk about what it means for Georgia, what it means for America. And as Vice President, soon to be President Biden said yesterday, he doesn't want anyone who's loyal to him. He wants people who are loyal to the citizens they serve and to the Constitution. Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff have demonstrated that they are committed to the people of Georgia. David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler have done nothing but profit and evade answers. They have done nothing to support the people of Georgia. And so what it means is that we will find ourselves stymied and stuck, and unfortunately without relief if we do not get the support and the leadership that will come with Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff joining the U.S. Senate.
And President-elect Biden is the first Democrat presidential candidate to win Georgia in 28 years. And Democrats like you hope that the state's going to become a real swing state. But, there are clearly still challenges. Is it wishful thinking for Democrats if they lose these two races? And, what do you think would be the lessons learned tonight if Democrats are not successful?
Well, look, being a battleground means you have to fight for victory. Republicans for 20 years took for granted their successes. We made them fight in 2018, we made them fight in 2020, and we won the battle in 2020. We're going to win this battle in 2021, whether it's by winning these two elections or by forcing Republicans to take seriously the needs of Democrats, the needs of independents, the needs of the people. We are going to be able to compel Republicans to actually have to talk about the issues and debate the issues as opposed to having a fait accompli for their ideas. That's what being a battleground means, and Georgia is firmly entrenched as a battleground state. We're going to move towards a permanent Democratic majority, but we've got a ways to go. But I'm incredibly proud of how far we've come and what we've been able to accomplish.
Well, I think there's no question we'll all be watching what happens in Georgia tonight and all the other nights after this. Stacey Abrams in Atlanta, Georgia, thank you so much for joining us tonight.